So if you were doing NIL in college,
Listen,
talk to me about what your process, what your journey would look like.
if NIL would have been around when we were in school and if social media would have like really been popping, I think it would have gone up.
I think that, I mean, y'all would have capitalized beautifully. Like, oh
100%.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
I think mine would have just gone up because I personally think I'm hilarious.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of NILOSOPHY. We have a very special guest, Chloe Pavlech, but how I know her, it's Overtime Chloe. So, Chloe, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. This is like it's not crazy because when I watched you play growing up, you were always just like very bubbly and you had this like commanding presence just as a point guard and this aura. So now like seeing you have your own show in the host seat, I'm like, okay, girl. And then when I got the email to be on the show, I was like, wait, me? So no, I'm super excited to be here and I really appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, we have lots to talk about. I mean, you have had such a telling career from being a player to being a coach to now being in the pro world with Unrivaled. Like, you've had such a journey, and I think you've seen so much as well and seen so many things change and transform. One as a player, then as a coach, then now as someone in the pro space. So, but first, you saw I said I know you as Overtime Chloe. So, talk to me about your journey from playing at Maryland
Yeah.
to how becoming Overtime Chloe unfolded.
It was crazy. So first of all, when I was at Maryland, I was the starting point guard, and then my sophomore year, I got hurt. Then I was kind of battling injuries between sophomore and junior year. When I started to really get on my get back, I just wasn't there, and I kind of started to realize, okay, like I'm probably not going pro. I probably need to start thinking about other things. And I just remember meeting with Coach Freeze, who I love to death, and I sat down in her office and I was like, I'm not sure if basketball is really for me. I think I want to do broadcasting or coaching. And she was like, yeah, like do whatever you think it is, whatever you want to do, just do it. And so I had a pretty good senior year, but there was this guy named Marcus Crenshaw who's like a genius businessman, one of my mentors, and I didn't really realize he was a mentor until I got older. But he asked me one day, "Do you think girls would want to see their highlights?" And I'm like, yeah, girls will wanna see their highlights, like, why wouldn't anyone wanna watch themselves hoop? But at that time, it was, like, corny, like, that's how old I am, it was corny to post your mixtape, but now,
Mhm.
like, everybody got a mixtape, even coaches have mixtapes, like, it's a thing, but we slowly started an Instagram account that was called She Hoops Network, started posting girls' highlights just out of a passion project. Later on, I was like, "I need a job." And so we had played against UConn at Madison Square Garden my senior year. And so I talked to Marissa Mosley, who was the former head coach at Wisconsin. I told her, I was like, I think I want to get into coaching, but I don't really know. And she was like, okay, we may have something here. Mind you, it's UConn. And I'm like, all right. Like she's just saying that to be nice. And then lo and behold, I think a couple weeks after my season ended, I got a text from her like, hey, are you still interested in coaching? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like I have no job, I have no money. Like, let's run it, whatever that is. So then she got me in touch with the associate head coach, CD, and CD had asked me what's the number one most important quality in coaching? And I'm like, hard work, dedication. I'm throwing out being able to recruit, all these things. She's like, no, no, no. And I'm like, shoot, I am not getting this job. And she goes, the number one quality is loyalty, which I think makes a lot of sense seeing how long that CD and Gino have been together, coaching together. And so she was like, I'm gonna have coach call you. Coach being Gino REM at the
Right.
time, who I've never spoken to. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I'm like, "So, did I get the job or what?" And so, Coach Ariema, he calls me. I miss his call. I'm like, "I am not getting this job." But at some point, I call him back and I get the job. And so then I started coaching at UConn for 2 years. And I was like, I have my whole life to coach. I think I wanna build something. So I called Marcus back up and I was like, "Hey, like, let's really dial in on this She Hoops Network stuff." And then moved back home to my mom's house, was shooting stand-ups, thinking I'm the next Oprah. I was nowhere close. Jamel Hill, when she watched my reel, she said I looked like I was being tortured, and I was like, "Well, I have no chance, no future at this." And then one day we got a call from Overtime and they were like, "We wanna buy your Instagram account." And we were like, "You wanna buy an Instagram account?" Like, we're like, "Okay, we're about to run it up. Like, these guys are crazy. Like, you wanna buy an Instagram account?" Lo and behold, that was kind of my first taste in digital real estate, not really knowing what Overtime women's basketball would become, just really a kid with a passion project. And so they were like, we'll give you a job, we'll give you some equity, and you got to come move to New York. So I'm thinking I'm rich because, we got a little bit of a payout, and then I got a $50,000 job in New York. I'm thinking I'm up.
Uh-oh.
I could barely afford an apartment. I think literally my first week, I was like sleeping on a body pillow, just trying to figure it out, but a kid with a dream. And then, I started covering like girls like you, girls like, Jada Williams, Paige Beckers, and one day I decided to actually, like, go in person, to see maybe it was Paige play, and I'm like, "Oh my god." First of all, this girl's really good, and secondly, she has, like, this fandom or, like, when I pulled up to see you in high school, like, your gym was packed out, and I'm like, "Wow," like, women's sports is really changing, and a lot of that has to do with social media.
Throughout this whole journey that you just talked about, like you going from playing and thinking that that was something you wanted to do long term, and then things change, which is fine. But you kind of finding yourself and figuring out, okay, this is kind of what I want to get into, like the sports broadcasting and really just empowering other female athletes and really just showcasing like what women's basketball is all about, right? And then you tapping into coaching. I hear you talk about it a lot, like you staying authentically you staying true to yourself, being you is what has gotten you to where you are now and gotten you throughout your journey. Talk to me about how you kind of tried to implement that in, of course, your playing career, then your coaching career, and now what you do now.
I just try to always show up as myself, which is to be kind. And at the same time, just understand, especially for me, like when you're working with people's kids, how important it is to build young girls up and instill confidence in them, right? So, because I think there's a lot of players out there that are really good, that don't necessarily get the type of coverage that they probably deserve and they should, but just knowing that at the end of the day, I'm one person, and I think every girl, woman should get coverage in what they're doing because, you just never know who you're going to inspire. And I think the other part of it for me too is like, I'm just someone where I want to try and I want to do a bunch of different things. Like, I want to have no regrets in life. I don't want to, when I do finally retire at some point, be like, damn, like, I wish I would have built this. Instead, I look at it like, okay, well, why can't you start a league, right? Or why can't you start a new platform for women's sports, right? Like all of this is based in the confidence I think my mom has instilled in me. And I know you're super close with your mom, but power of moms just making you believe that you can do those things. And so even though I don't have kids, and nowhere close, I just try to do the same to other young girls, right? Like if you wanna do something, I'm like, "Yeah, do it." Like, you wanting to have your own show, like, great, yes, like, do that. And so just kind of believing in yourself and instilling that in others.
I think believing in yourself and believing in growing and expanding and again empowering others as well as empowering yourself. I think that speaks volumes and it allows you to open new doors, open new opportunities. We've seen what Unrivaled blossomed into. And of course there was chatter about it happening and once it finally was announced and there was concerns about how well it would do and if the coverage was going to be there and then once people saw the salaries that the women were getting rightfully so as deserving as it was and then seeing again how it broke out into a league where these pro athletes have access to and another avenue of income and another avenue to play basketball outside of the WNBA. Talk to me a little bit about your role in Unrivaled and how that came about.
Yeah, so I'm the chief growth officer at Unrivaled. So for me and my role, I played a heavy role in just building our social media presence and our content presence online. I'm a firm believer in if you give players a space to be themselves and you create a safe space for them, they will deliver on unbelievable content because you're giving them the mic. You're letting them take ownership of your content. So my thought with Unrivaled was always if we could promise 36 players, you can get coverage, and if you want a show, we'll do a show. Or if you don't like social media at all, tell me what you like to do and just let me come record it, right? So, like, if you're like BG and you want to go fishing, great, we'll come with you on a fishing trip. If you're like Marina Mabry, you want to have a cooking show, great, Marina, let us come see you cook at some point in time, right? Or if you're like Dejanay Carrington, who is really into fashion, awesome. We have this partnership with Sephora, like, let's figure this out how we can make whatever type of content you want come to life. And what we also found out is, which is no surprise, being a woman, when you treat women well, they will go above and beyond for you. And
Real
that's
content.
exactly what our players did for us. And to me, I think a lot of what we built out Unrivaled is just basic things that women should have, that they shouldn't have to fight for. And I think introducing and exposing that to all of them because, it's not equal everywhere you go, right? But at Unrivaled, everyone gets the same things. And so for us to be able to do that, to be able to be in Miami and for content and social media to go as well as it did for us and players were even able to build their brands, it was huge.
I think it was so inspiring to see, especially while I was still in school, just to be able to see a league and the rapid growth, like how quickly it accelerated to what
Crazy.
it is now, and seeing all of the social content, seeing how much fun it looked. Like it just genuinely looked like all the players enjoyed each other, and that no one knows, but just like and they enjoyed their time there, and being able to play again, having another route to play basketball without having to go overseas, and while also getting compensated fairly
Yeah.
and deservingly. I think just being able to see that going having the transition from college to the pros, and of course, it's the WNBA first, but then right out like, being able to also have that option for someone, just being able to see players thrive in that and seeing how good of a turnout it came to be, and seeing the TV deals and the media
Yeah,
deals and again, the social media and all the people that showed up to support. I think overall that was a phenomenal idea overall, and just to see it come to life and seeing how much work went into it, and how many players are now saying, like, "Oh, I would love to play in the rival."
for
Like, that's
sure.
something I would love to be a part of, like, it just genuinely like, being able to feel like you're valued and being able to give back in that way, I think that speaks volumes, and it allows players to, again, play and maximize all of the opportunities that they can get.
Oops.
What would you say, like, with having an opportunity like that, you see all the opportunities that NIL has created in college. First, I'll ask you, what have you seen about the transformation that where NIL started to where it is now? I mean, it's gotten insane. But just so first talk to me about like the things that you've seen. What surprised you the most
Yeah.
about the NIL process? What's excited you the most about players coming out of college with the NIL experience?
Yeah, it's changed so much, right? So one, obviously there was no NIL when I played. There wasn't NIL when I was at UConn. But right after I had agreed to be an assistant coach at Baylor, I think literally 2 weeks after I got the job, NIL had passed, and it was huge because obviously I had experience in brand marketing, social media deals, NIL deals. So it was kind of like a leg up at that point in time for our women's basketball program at Baylor and for Baylor athletics as a whole. Cause I was like, here's what we should be doing. I was like, there's two types of NIL. There's NIL through the collective, which is now obviously probably going away. And there's real NIL, which is how you build your brand. And I was like, we need to be teaching athletes how to build their brand because respectfully, a donor is not going to give you $100,000 every year for the rest of your life, right? But if I could teach you how to build your brand and your brand, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be, this star on social media. It could just be, the same thing that we talk to our unrivaled players about is like, what is your passion? Cool. Let us help you tell the story in a way that can resonate not only with your audiences, but other people so they can gravitate to you as a person and believe in your personal mission statement. So I'd say the craziest thing I'd say is like when at Baylor, when we were, talking about amounts with different players and what we could bring to them from a brand perspective, and then the amount of money that Baylor was raising from an NIL standpoint, which was nice. I'm not gonna lie, like Baylor has money, which is awesome.
Yeah,
But it was like, damn, like seeing how much, and I believe athletes should be paid, but seeing how much, someone could get out of, donors or just people who really believe in that sports program to me was crazy. But also, I think from a women's basketball perspective, just seeing how much money you guys have been able to make off of brand deals, I'm like, for me, I'm like, it's about time and well deserved. But I think now seeing just how many people are in the transfer portal, whether I think there's a lot of them who didn't like their experience. And I think there's others of them where it's a lot of people in their ear, like, hey, this is what you could get. And I think, whether you come from money or don't, um, I think it's hard to tell anyone, like, hey, I want to offer you this amount of money, or get someone that's close to them to tell that athlete that, and for them to not want to jump into the portal, especially like at the end of the day, you want to maximize opportunities for yourself and for your family. So I think everyone should be choosing themselves, but as you've seen, like the grass isn't always greener on the other
right.
side, right? But no, everyone should get paid, and I hope, the players keep running it up. I just hope that they also are just having a really good experience and really investing their money, right? So not just the shortcomings, because I've been there too. I made a lot of money when I was young, didn't know how to handle it. Still working on my spending habits. I'm so sorry to my CPA, but it's hard, right? And so especially when you go from not having money and then to having money, like you want to spend it, but there's just so many things that come with just getting more money and how you should use it.
It's been crazy sync. I mean, like you said, like, there's been going from because I was in the class of we had 1 year pre-NIL, and we went through the whole transition
Yeah.
of, "Oh, y'all are getting paid for your name, image, and
Yep.
likeness." You're like and it's like, "Excuse me?"
Crazy.
Like, "What?"
Crazy.
And so to be able to capitalize and maximize off of those opportunities,
Huge.
you have all these dollar signs being thrown at you, these like I was like I had no clue, like, this was something that I would be experiencing while I'm 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and now that I'm graduating college or graduated college, like, to see the opportunities that I've had and that have opened up for me just from how I handled, like, my process,
Mhm.
and it was hard 'cause if I like, I was the one where I was like, "Oh, I got money now, I'm about to" I mean, my people know my ages now, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to buy everything that I see." Like,
Yeah.
I went from having no money I grew up in a household, like, we didn't have much,
Mhm.
and my mom made it work, but it was
Mhm.
just like, "Okay, and I wanna do something nice for my family.
Yep.
I wanna buy them this. I wanna
Yep.
buy myself this." Like, but I think it's so important, like you said, like, to know how to handle and manage all of the opportunities that are being thrown your way. It's great because it's very deserving,
Mhm.
but if you don't manage it right and you don't invest, if you don't learn, like, financial literacy and things like
Yeah.
that, like, that's what I try to teach and give back. Like, when I have my camps, like, I'm like, let me bring my financial advisor down here and have a lesson with y'all just to
Yes.
know, like, because it's important, and I didn't realize how important it was until they sat me down and was
I'm
like,
like,
"Listen,
"This
like,
is how much you spent. Do you
do
realize
you
a
realize that?"
family with 5 doesn't spend as much as" No, I get it.
Exactly. So, like, but being able to learn all that again before you're a 22, 23-year-old leaving college, like, that sets you up that sets up a great foundation for you heading into whatever your career is post-grad, and I think for me, I feel more prepared than ever heading into, like,
Good.
because I was just like, I was taught so much and I was guided in such a great way, and you see so many players that are, and you also see some that aren't,
Mhm.
and I think how you what you touched on is how important it is to build your brand.
Yes.
Oh gosh,
Huge.
like, you do not like, I think I try to stress this to my teammates,
Mhm.
because there's some that will come and ask me all the time, or that would come and ask me all the time, like, "How do you, do this on social media? How do you, brand yourself through this platform?" and things like that, and I'm just like, it's crazy how many people don't know,
Yeah.
and it's not their fault. They may not know where to look, they may not know who to ask or who to
Yeah.
talk to, and I think having, I've had this conversation multiple times, like, I think having someone who is just solely NIL on staff.
Yep.
I think is super important, and I think that'll be super beneficial, especially with how where NIL is going now, like, where more things are becoming transactional, like,
Mhm.
that's just what it is, and I think being able to have someone to guide your team, to guide your players to
Yeah.
where I mean, coaches shouldn't have to worry about that, they should not have to worry about all that. To have someone on staff assigned to just guiding players, helping them build their brand, like something you
Mhm.
said you were trying to do at Baylor, like, I think that's so important for people who don't know where to get the guidance from. With building your brand, what have you seen, if any, like with players in Unrivaled, with just being around pro players? Have you seen people still struggle with like building, with knowing how to build their brand, with knowing the direction where they want to go, or just kind of just not wanting to do it at all?
Yeah, I it's literally everything you said, it's all of that. I think there are plenty of players that come in and are like, "Yo, I just wanna hoop." And I'm like, "You know what? That's cool. Let us just film you hooping, but can we talk to you about your workouts?" Right? And I think sometimes when you tell them like, "Hey, like, I understand you just wanna do this, but there's a young girl that looks up to you that loves you as a player and wants to be able to know how to do every single thing that you're doing. So if you help us with this, we can help with whatever you're doing, make it more accessible because at the end of the day, social media is free, right? So being able to one, I think sit down with each individual and first just be like, look, one, what do you want your brand to be? And two, what do you think people say about your brand? Right. I think those are the two biggest questions that we should all be asking ourselves or sitting down with someone to ask them. And then three, what do you actually care about? And four, what would you want to spend your time with? Because for me, like the older I've gotten, and I'm sure I know how booked and busy your schedule is, like you're very cognizant about your time, right? So it's like, okay, if I have to do extra content or if I have to do something extra, I want it to be something that I enjoy. Okay, well, if you're a mom and you want to do something with your kids, if you're comfortable with us filming, great. Let's do a family adventure. We'll cover that family adventure. Let us just film it, be a fly on the wall, and you in your element, right? So I think it's really just figuring out what it is that you would wanna spend extra time on, and then having someone help you do that, right? And at Unrivaled, it almost feels like each person has their own individual camera person, right? Every player has a folder of content. So whatever it is, you have photos immediately after the game, you have photos at practice. Now, not all of them are going to be the ones you like, but I think we're very intentional about asking players because you've been there. The social media team posted something crazy of you and
And I'm
like,
like,
now, girl,
why would you?
I would not want
You
that on there,
know, if my
right?
ponytail's over here
That's
and
what I'm
my eyes
saying.
looking that way.
Exactly. So just like being able to be very intentional, like, hey, do you like this? Okay, you do? Great. Because a lot of times athletes may receive a lot of content. They may not post it because they actually don't like it, you know? So,
That's fair. No, do you have you seen, do you think, with the rookies that y'all had in Unrivaled who experienced who
mhm,
went through a couple years of NIL,
yeah.
did you see, kind of a different level or different understanding that they had kind of building their brand or just because they experienced it. I
Yeah,
mean, all through college. I mean, it was a different monster and the way it grew in such a short period of time. Did you see that kind of carry over to once they were in the pros and even in the WNBA? But I know like it was that kind of stretch of WNBA, then Unrivaled. Like, did you see that there was a different level of understanding from from going to NIL to being the first year in the pro?
for sure. I would say, like, to me, for example, obviously everyone knows Angel Reese played in Unrivaled. And I've known her since she was really young
Yeah.
too. So one, it's been really cool for me the same way, like to see you guys just come up and grow. But she immediately was a professional, right? Like any shoots, anything we scheduled with her, not only is she on time, she's early, right? And so to me, when I see someone like her who I know has a million things throughout their day, right? But is walking into a room with Sephora and speaking and saying hi to every single person as if she's been in the league and she's been a pro for years. So that's the one thing I'll say is just being able to have an up close view of how these athletes like really carry themselves, especially these younger athletes, I think has been incredible.
So you would definitely say, like, how you manage NIL in college, like, would definitely help prepare you for the next level?
100%. And I think just like having help, right? Like it's not easy to do all of this by yourself, right? And so being able to be very intentional about who your agent is or becoming the CEO of your life and who you're choosing to kind of be in that circle to help you kind of rise and build. But I would say NIL plays a really big factor in that.
So if you were doing NIL in college,
Listen,
talk to me about what your process, what your journey would look like, what you would want it to look
Listen,
like.
so first of all, and I hope Lexi Brown sees this clip because her and I talk about this all the time. Like, if NIL would have been around when we were in school, and if social media would have like really been popping
Right.
like it was back when we were in school, it's not to be like back in my day. I think it would have gone up, you know. And I think I've learned so much to the point for me, like I don't have an agent anymore. I have someone who helps me kind of manage things, but because I know how to negotiate for myself, because I understand just business, my worth, I know my price, I stick to it, I know what my time is worth. Um, I feel like I would have gone crazy getting some of that money because I just know the older I got, and even at my age, when I finally did get some money, how I acted. So kudos to you, obviously, and how you carry yourself and how, you have a camp, you're teaching young girls, you have a financial advisor, you have an agent. Like, I know how involved your mom is, which I think is very important to just have some type of guardian or just someone you really trust help you navigate this safe. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, I know now you're a grown woman, but like, as that was happening, like, you're still finding yourself
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're still a kid. So I think the biggest thing is I would have gone up to. I already checked my number with the NCAA lawsuit about what it was worth. I was like, I think I was worth a little bit more, but y'all go crazy. But I was like, I'll take it.
Isn't that passing soon?
It's
Or we should
there's
know the amount.
Yeah, so we'll know soon. They've kind of pushed some things back,
I
but just
saw
with the
that.
different, salary
Filing
caps,
some
player
lawsuits.
salaries, but we'll
I
see.
filed for my little 1 year that I missed out. I was
Like,
like, "Listen,
Imma get my check.
if y'all saw what I did since then, like, yeah, give me my
100%.
check." Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I think, of course, like, I hear it all the time, like, people who were pre-NIL, like, they're like, I couldn't imagine, like, having those resources, having those opportunities,
Oh, yeah.
being in school, like, just taking full advantage, and again, y'all's era was I say y'all's era, I'm talking about, like, y'all but y'all were popping, like, y'all
Yeah.
like, again, if social media was
Yeah.
popping back then like it is now, and I think that I mean, y'all would have capitalized beautifully, like, the it
100%,
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And so, like, and I'll say too, like, um, I think mine would've just gone up because I personally think I'm hilarious. So,
You are
like,
hilarious.
my TikTok and my
You're a great
Instagram, like, it
personality.
would've gone thank you so much. I think it would've gone up in that sense. So I think I would've been like, the hooper, like, "Yeah, I was nice, but, like, that's probably the real reason why I'm making bread," type of thing.
That's fair, that's
Yeah.
fair, it's okay, like, great personality, that gets you I mean, look where you are
I'm
now,
true
like,
to
you're
me. No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
exactly, you are, as you should be. Okay, what's one piece of advice you would give to college athletes that are navigating this new era of college sports within NIL?
Yes, great question. Get a financial advisor, but someone you trust, but like manage your money, watch your money, right? So don't just get a financial advisor and just let them handle everything, right? Like ask questions, know where your money's going, know what it's going to. I just think that'll take you just such a long way. And I was the same way, max out that 401k, all of that because you don't when you're young, you don't realize how important that is. No matter how many people tell you, like, I was blessed because my mom worked at Fidelity Investments, that she was making me do that even when I barely had any money. I was like, "But mom, I got nothing in my check right now." And she's like, "Don't care, this is what you're doing." So I'm blessed. So financial advisor, someone you trust, and watch your money.
I think that's great advice, and we talked about it earlier, like, these all athletes, like, again, to be able to have the opportunity to even learn about managing your money and learning about financial literacy and having to go through all that, like, I think take full advantage, like, please take full
Yes.
advantage of the opportunities given to you, doors that are opening for you because it'll help you in the long run. longevity is what matters, like, building your future, I think that's
100%.
the biggest thing, and I think you were a great foundation, like, of just like, staying true to yourself, staying locked into what you wanna do, and then really just working towards it, like, building that, I think that's something that, a lot of us looked up to too. I was always wild overtime and watching the videos, I'd be looking for my videos. But I'm like, but
Facts.
right, but I mean, yeah, like,
Yeah.
just again, just having growing the women's game, seeing where it is now, like, it's in a great place, it'll only continue to get better
Yeah.
and grow even more, so for you to be a part of history in that way, like, is phenomenal, and with Unrivaled, that'll only continue to get better. I hope to be in Unrivaled soon. No, this was great, like, just hearing your perspective, thank you
Mhm.
so much for joining,
For sure.
and thank you just for all that you do for the game too,
Oh,
like, just continuing to grow it, like, it's been great.
yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I love you.